I'm excited about tonight's guest. His name is Ian Doherty from the UK. He's a medium. He's an artist, which is one of the facets of his personality, which interests me as well. He uses his psychic ability, his mediumship, to create art. And another, as if that weren't enough, Mr. Doherty also is a paranormal investigator, having archived thousands of investigations and hauntings, and he's highly regarded for his careful probings of these hauntings and other supernatural phenomena. I encourage you to visit Ian Doherty at www.ian-doherty.co.uk. And without further ado, hello, Ian. A warm welcome. How are you?
Hey, fine, thank you, Stephen, and thank you for your very, very warm welcome there too. And it's lovely to be having this opportunity to chat to your fair self and your listeners out there. So thank you very much for that very, very warm welcome there, Stephen.
Well, it's certainly my pleasure. We're excited to have you here tonight, especially given the subject, which is sort of changing your consciousness or entering into a trance so as to, perhaps connect in spirit with someone, or perhaps to enhance your creativity. And what I'd like to do to begin is maybe talk about the physical basis of this. What can I do physically to maybe enter into the trance state?
Well, it really sort of depends, Stephen, what the person is wanting to do with it. Certainly from my point of view, with being a medium, I want to investigate trance to have a closer connection, spirit-wise. I'm a published author through trance. Where my guide who talks to me is a gentleman called William, and he gave me a lot of information over several months, which was put into a book called Teachings from William. So that was what I wanted to do, And when you look at wanting to enhance, really, it's not a meditative state. It's certainly not anything to do with sort of possession. Where people can get the wrong end of the stick, which is why I really do enjoy in talking about trance to dispel some of the myths and to put people's mind at rest. The best thing for wanting to do trance is to enhance that psychic ability and that mediumistic ability that you have, because the mind naturally goes quieter. So when you're in a waking state, a cognitive state, you can easily lower that brainwave from the beta wave into the alpha wave, and therefore I can talk to you. I can be aware of who is talking to me, spirit side. I can be more aware of what energies are there, whether they're ghost, oblique, residual energies, or whether they're actual spirit energies, and still maintain a conversation with a real physical person. So it does enhance a lot of things, but I feel trance mainly is really inherent with psychic or mediumistic type of things. Sitting Bull and people like so used to do the drumming, the trance dance, anything that puts the mind or puts images or sound into the mind, which with every person will be slightly different, but it matches their brainwave, and therefore the conscious mind seems to be not there. So the subconscious comes to the fore, and it can be very much open to perceiving images, sounds, visions, that are very, very accurate.
Very interesting. I'm reminded at once of the Sufis.
Yes.
The whirling dervishes. And I had the pleasure of talking with a Sufi once, and he emphasized to me very strongly that this was not a dance, that he was not dancing, that the whirling itself facilitated the trance, the communication with God, So that's
yes, definitely.
And so it raises, you hear a lot of talk about how, raising the vibratory rate, lowering the vibratory rate. Would you say trance is, or meditating or allowing yourself to fall into a trance, would you say that's involved in lowering or raising the vibratory rate?
Yeah, well, really, it isn't in my point anyway. It's not about raising your vibe. It's about slowing the mind down. Yeah, there is a difference there. Anything that is of a repetitive nature, going round in circles. When you were sort of driving the road at night time, and you see that white line in the middle of the road. If you stare at that, then you'll just go. You know what I mean? Because it's very much repetitive, and that's what the conscious mind fixes onto. Yeah, and therefore it seems to just be going off on its own, and we're more aware subconscious wise. Yeah, so really from that point of view, it's getting to slow the mind down. That is the important thing, you know, where we're looking at the alpha wave, which is around 8 to 15 cycles a second, and then into the theta, which again goes around 5 to 8. You know, from each brain wave that we drop down is almost halved in actual, to call it, electrical impulses. So the thing, you know, your whole mind just becomes so much quieter, and you become more aware of what is around you due to that sort of stillness. You know what I mean? It is an absolute beautiful state to be in, you know. But when you're looking at doing a meditation, Stephen, the conscious mind's there because you're listening to a voice telling you that you're walking down a road, you come into a copse of trees, you're by a stream. So the conscious mind is still there because you're listening. Or if there's a person there, or even if you're listening to music, the fact is your ears are still straining to hear that sound. So that brainwave is still kept within the very, the mid to low alpha at the deepest. You know what I mean? So the conscious mind's still there.
Very interesting. One thing you impressed me with was when you said that entering into the trance state, changing your consciousness or adapting it to be able to do the higher spiritual type of work. You refer to this as an active process and not a passive thing at all. And I think a lot of people think of the trance as falling asleep, perhaps, or getting relaxed. But you're saying it's very active.
It is. I mean, the thing is, being in a very relaxed state is meditative. You know what I mean? Because that is what you're doing. You're trying to relax the body, you know, as well as your mind. In a trance state, you're doing it to communicate with spirit, you know, whichever way that you see, you know. If you want to term it as being closer to God, closer to the angels, and therefore info can be given to you that is very, very valuable about what is going to be happening in your life. You know, you might have questions that again can be asked, and the more practice that you do, then you can go into a lighter state of trance, which is termed as overshadowing, which is where I am when I'm doing my artwork. Then you can actually write those feelings down without hearing the words. You can write, and you get a whole diatribe there of I didn't realize that was happening, and it comes to pass because you're not thinking about it with your conscious mind.
Now, color is very important to you. You describe in your youth being, first being, or at least being aware of color to the point that you could see auras and things of that nature. So how does color affect your consciousness? How can it change your consciousness and perhaps even mine?
Well, colour again. I do feel everybody is capable of feeling colours with the people. You know, you don't have to actually see them. You know, and when you look at going to sleep in a different coloured room, you know, a yellow room is very, very busy. Where people say a blue room is cold. You know, a red just keeps us awake. You know, where a darker colour like a dark brown can give us that sort of sleep. So it does have its own frequency range. Every color does, even though it's in the visible light spectrum. Each one is variable, different, you know. So we actually might feel more comfortable in a blue room, whereby it keeps most people awake, you know. So it does have some bearing on the mind, certainly. You know, if we see somebody coming towards us, dressed in bright yellow, we think, "Oh, wait a minute," and we think, "I think I'll cross the road." You know what I mean? So
Right.
it's what we see with people. It's what we understand colour as, and it's a very subjective thing. But certainly, it can have influence on the mind, and therefore, give us that a different outlook, perhaps, Stephen.
Absolutely. Even as many as 2,000 years ago, the ancient Greeks, they saw that flickering lights of different rates would affect someone's awareness state, their consciousness, perhaps even mesmerize them or something like that. So what do you think about using, let's say that I want, maybe perhaps I've lost a loved one, or maybe I'm lonely and want to sort of connect in spirit to a kindred soul, I guess, or for whatever reason. What sort of props, or perhaps even music, or what do you think about using props to help induce that mesmeric state?
At first, doing a trance is something that's not done, straight away. It takes practice. I did trance roughly once a week for 5 years, to get to the stage where I was, So it depends what time, what sort of dedication you have. But certainly, if you want that time to connect with your loved one, your parents, your partner, then it is again about quieting the mind down and taking away that cognitive awareness which says, is it me, is it them, am I wanting them to say that, am I just imagining? So take it to a deeper state, and I would recommend you can do it in one of two ways. Is totally have a darkened room. Not pitch black. Just have it dark enough. There's no music playing, and just relax yourself the best you can. And then it comes more in feelings, because again, as your brainwave slows down, then it does affect the auric field. It becomes more sort of pliable, because I look at the subconscious being a very, very slow frequency, and a very high amplitude would make the auric field more magnetic, almost like a pulling, a drawing in, very, very slow, and therefore it's more permeable, so you can hear and feel what is being said. You might get that scent, your father's cigars, or your grandmother's favorite perfume being easily taken on board, and the feelings that person made you feel when they were around you, comfortable and loved. The other side of things there is a little bit on what you were saying. When you had that sort of flashing light, the same thing can be done with a candle. A glass ball. It doesn't have to be one of those crystal balls. It can just be glass, or even a darkened surface, a bowl of water, and you just look at it. Because again, once you give your mind something to do, that cognitive self something to do, then it's off doing it. And you don't think about it, and then any information, any feelings it just bypasses the conscious self, and it just comes into you there. So you can also get feelings that way. So it's giving the mind something to do, or quieting it down. It both works just as equally well.
I've got to admit, I like that one. It's almost as if, correct me if I'm wrong here, if I'm misunderstanding, but it's almost as if I'm tricking the mind or distracting it to sort of get it to sidestep, so that my loved one or whomever perhaps can send me a message.
Yes, because the thing is, there's always that, or it must be me. Or that is what I think that they would say. And you've heard of, I do feel, writing in an inspirational way, an automatic writing. When you're writing in an inspirational way, you might be writing very quick, but when you need to change lines to start a new sentence, so your conscious mind's there. When it's of a deeper subconscious level, yeah, then you just write and write and write, and it comes ever so much deeper. Yeah, you may have to sort of read it back afterwards and change and say, oh yeah, that sentence needs to start there, that paragraph is there, but it's so much more deeper. You know, there's so much more detail and things that are not what you were thinking about. They're not necessarily you. You know, you might be saying, oh mum, are you there? Do you still care? Do you still love me? And you might get all this, yes I do, I am there, but then it goes really, really deep, you know, and it might mention something again that has happened, and something that only mum would know, and then you talk to your family and they said, oh yeah, mum said that to me when, you know, just before she passed away. So you have no knowledge of that, and that would say that there's somebody there, i.e. your mother in this case, giving you that info, and we've got it because we've taken the conscious self out, you know, so it's straight out, pardon the pun, straight out of the horse's mouth.
Right, absolutely. That's I can envision having to put forth quite a bit of effort, you know, maybe even fill 3 or 4 pages before, you know, we get to some legitimate stuff there.
Yeah, sorry, Stephen. I was jumping in on
absolutely.
you there. It does take practice. You know, it's not something that's going to be done in just a week or 10 days. Yeah, and this is where patience needs to be done. But you know, it's nothing to be rushed. You cannot rush trance at all. You know, it really does have to be taken on board. Even the trance dance, the drumming, anything that sort of puts the mind into a repetitive pattern, anything that does that will induce an altered state, and it varies on how deep you are wanting to go to the level of contact communication that you are actually wishing for, you know, and it does enhance everything. You know, it gives you a sense of well-being because it goes deeper than just a meditation. You know, you might find yourself coming back where your face feels warm, you feel thirsty, and there's a thing, I'm sure I've been told something, but I can't recall it, but it gives you a self of well-being. It's a very spiritual thing.
Oh yes. Well, you embark on a lot of investigations of hauntings and things of that nature. When you enter into a domicile or a building or anything, do you go through a process of, you know, trying to alter your consciousness, you know, before, you know, connecting with whatever entity is inside that building? What do you do to connect with them?
Well, firstly, it's a very, very good question, you know, and it's one where I've been doing the paranormal work for nearly 11 years now, and you're talking maybe 6 or 7 times a month, you know, over that sort of period. So it has literally become second nature, and when anything becomes second nature, it's automatically gone into the realms of the subconscious. And because I've had that trance training, then my brain waves go down to the mid alpha wave without me even having to try. I just switch. You know, it's like flicking a switch. I'm in that mode. You know, as soon as I walk into a building, I can see what the building used to look like. I can get, you know, the stories associated with it, what the rooms would have been used for, because, you know, some of them are actually saying, yes, this is a kitchen. You're saying, sorry, but it isn't. I'm seeing this as a music room, you know, or a gents smoking room, and they people do the research, and more often than not, it is as the mediums say, you know. So it's just being it's about not trying, to be honest, Stephen, you know. But the way that my guides put it over, it's the art of listening without hearing. So you just go on trust, really, but it becomes automatic, you know, and you just do it, you just sink into it. So my sort of guidance would be for somebody trying this for perhaps the first couple of times is not to try, you know. Don't think, oh, I've got to get something. go on your feelings, and then just let it go. Because as soon as you put yourself into I'm feeling this, I'm feeling that, you must be in an altered state to feel. Yeah, so it's just taking it to that next stage, slowing the mind down. Yeah, and when you do that, the feelings get stronger and stronger, and you're able to see, hear, smell, taste. And it is beautiful thing. We've had some lovely stuff happen, and I'm very, very visual. So if there's a person dressed in the time of Henry VIII, that type of thing, coming along the corridor, I'll see them in full gear, and it's absolutely amazing.
Yes, it sounds really amazing. What's playing through my mind right now? I'm thinking of the forensic criminologists who actually use the touch DNA. Like if I shook your hand or clapped you on the shoulder, I would actually leave DNA from myself and take some, it's an exchange. And I'm thinking we have that touch phenomenon even in all the generations that lived in our houses before us. They left a little residue of themselves, a spiritual DNA behind. And maybe perhaps this is what you're picking up on when you automatically put yourself in this altered state.
Yeah, it's similar to what is called what's called it now psychometry. Where you're doing the psychometrics, where you're picking up energy that's put into an object. People normally go for rings or watches, but you can go just as easily. You can pick somebody's shoe and read about that person without them even being in that same room as you. Just by having that energy imprint of something that they've held or worn for a number of weeks or months, and you can tell everything. I have people who I teach doing jumper readings or t-shirt readings. Anything that person has worn, then you can get that sort of energy from it and tell them all about them. And it does frighten some people that that can happen. And it would be nice going into a place after a crime scene and be able to add a little bit of a picture to what you feel has gone on, and just augment it with what science is saying. I think that would be a good area for scientific investigation there, to see if people can actually do that, as close afterwards as possible.
Right. Well, you've been surrounded by supernatural phenomena since you were a child, right? I mean,
yes. Yeah, it scared the living daylights out of me, honestly.
It took you some time to get used to this sort of communication.
Yes, yeah. I mean, when you're a child, you're innocent, it's out the mouth of babes. I didn't feel anything different. I just thought, well, they're people. I used to have a little lady sitting on the end of my bed who turned out to be my great grandmother, who passed before I was born, And even though it was so long ago, knowing me, I could imagine myself taking it that she must be here because my mum's let her in through the door. You know what I mean? There's no other way she could have got in. You don't visualize, she's come through the wall. She must have come in through the door, because that's how I had to come in the house. Yeah. And then it wasn't until coming over towards 10, 11 years of age, where people said, no, that's a dead person. That's when I got really panicky. Yeah. And I thought myself, but this person is dead. It's when that sort of realization is given to you. But now I just think back and think, wow, it's been beautiful. Being able to see people's loved ones, and even though it scares you at times, it's just beautiful to be able to link between the two worlds, so to speak there, Stephen.
Well, I think to turn to the trance state, one is simulating death, perhaps. The physicians, they all note that a lot of times respiration rate will drop, and various physiological vital signs or whatever will, and we hear stories about the Indian fakirs who could actually essentially hibernate, and so it just makes me think that the trance state is a simulation of death, that they're very related, energetically speaking.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like trance is very linked to what is known as physical mediumship, and they the deep trance mediums who go who go into a physical, then it's within the realms of the of what is termed as the delta wave, which is about 1.5 to 3 cycles per second. Really is slow, and it's linked to babies while they're in the womb. That is the frequency that their sort of developing brain is. So that is why they can take on board if the mothers are always playing the same type of music. It does filter through. So really, it is very, 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 very deep. And you're looking, death isn't much further on there. Obviously it goes to 0, doesn't it? But when you look at 1.5 cycles per second, it isn't far off. But it does allow us a closer union and a closer glimpse to the what could potentially be termed in a scientific way as an afterlife, because the info given at times is well above the educational state of the person receiving the information, and without their knowledge, or they wouldn't have a clue. So that must say it's not from them; it must be somebody else.
It boggles the mind, I swear. Wait, Ian, hold that thought. We're about to take a commercial, and when we get back, I'd like to examine how we can use trance to actually manifest the things that we want in life, to bring our desires into the life when we get back from that 1-minute commercial. But before we go, I'd like to just remind everybody that next week we're going to have a Psychic Viewpoint special program, 2 hours. From 8 to 10 New York time will be devoted to live call-in readings. You will not want to miss that. And I'd also like to remind everyone listening that they can check out Ian Doherty at www.ian-doherty.co.uk. And with that, we will be right back.
A new era in psychic services has begun. PsychicAccess.com. You can connect with our psychic advisors by telephone or chat 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. All of our psychic advisors are interviewed, fully verified, and accuracy tested, assuring you quality service. We're living in some very troubled times right now. More and more, the world's problems are affecting us on a personal level. You don't have to deal with this alone. Our highly accurate psychics, caring advisors, and talented mediums can help with situations you are currently experiencing and can let you know what the future may hold for you. All new customers get a free 6-minute reading. All you have to do is register. Why not visit us now and get a free reading at PsychicAccess.com.
Welcome back. Tonight we have Ian Doherty, acclaimed psychic, medium, author, artist, and paranormal investigator. And we're talking tonight about the trance state and how to use it both to connect with spirit worlds and also to improve your life. Ian, thanks for joining us tonight, sir.
You are more than welcome. I'm having a very good time, and it's again, it's very lovely to have the opportunity to talk to people about trance.
Yes.
I think it's a very necessary thing.
Well, this is quite educational for myself as well. But what I'd like to go into now is, a lot of magical schools, they believe that you can bring about what you want in life by visualizing it, by focusing on it. And they sort of divide up that operation into A, visualizing it, and B, sort of controlling your emotional state. And that the combination of these two things will sort of attract what you want into your life. So how can trance be used to regulate my emotional state, manufacture good things and banish bad, so to speak?
Well, yeah, I mean, like the cognitive mind is the root of all evil at times, particularly when people are very, very strong-minded. When you're feeling a little bit, things are running away from me, the financial situation or the job situation, then your mind goes overtime, and it makes everything is going to be dire, and then funny enough that happens, through the strength of the mind. Mediumship, after all, is mind to mind communication. Healing, spiritual healing, is again given through the mind. And where trance can help, I do have William here with me, who's talking to me at this moment in time. Where trance can help, it puts us into that state where we can feel what is there, rather than what is very much given to thought, imaginary, through the cognitive self. So if we can put ourselves in the trance state, feel calm, feel well, and know that things are going to be getting better, then it does manifest onto the waking mind, and therefore straight away your waking mind has been told, same as really through hypnosis, about giving yourself that confidence, giving yourself that's going to be here. You don't want to smoke, but going into a trance state and saying to yourself, do you know what, I love me, I am beautiful, and things are getting better, and I know there's changes around the corner, things are coming to me, and I'm going to be fine. Then straight away you're giving yourself that auto cue, if you wish, Stephen, to blanket that conscious mind, and therefore make good things happen, and it is, I do feel, would be beneficial, particularly to those people who are very, very strong-minded, logical people, because being on a high, it's amplified. Being on a low is amplified. So we want to take that very much even ground, be nice and easy in a relaxed state, and then when we, the more that we can do it, we just feel good. We get that feel-good factor. We introduce that things are going to be well, that I am getting better, there's better things coming, and it does happen.
Well, physicians, the scientific community, they in their laboratory clinical observation of trance states, they, the word euphoria crops up in their notes constantly. Yeah. And so that makes me think, wow, maybe I can, maybe we can accomplish the golden dream of the drug addicts, to regulate the natural endorphins and dopamine of one's brain through trance. Yeah. To make yourself feel great. I mean, think of the applications that would have for the chronically depressed, for example. Yes,
definitely. Because when you think about it, you're hitting on the mind. The feel good dopamine, the endorphins, like people who go to the gym, they're on the treadmill for 45 minutes, they feel absolutely fantastic. Yeah. So going into a trance state can also achieve that. Yeah. You feel very, very good about you. Yeah. And it's almost the way that it was put over to me. It's like having that little test that we had, or that little game we had in science, where you put little metal filings onto a piece of paper, you put a magnet underneath, run the magnet along the paper, and it all lines up. Yeah. So it's putting your mind, all that clutter, into just nice, neat rows, and therefore the thought processes are more coherent rather than all over the place.
Right, absolutely. I want to remind the listeners and everyone that the word endorphin is actually two words. Endogenous, which means native, morphine. So we're talking about the potential to flood your body with some natural feeling of optimism. Of course, you want to be responsible about this, I would imagine, right? We can't have everybody bumbling about in a trance state.
No. I mean, it is very, very true there. From that point of view, I would recommend that if you are going to do any sort of trance, then you do it in a group. Not just do it willy nilly on your own. Have somebody there who's done trance, who has an understanding of how the brain works, and more importantly how the subconscious works. And then we can do it in turns. 20 minutes, maybe 3 times a week is far more, is more than adequate, but have somebody there who can talk you back, who can say, come on, let's not be silly, and chat away that way. So there is more comfort, but in a very controlled state.
So the buddy system can work when developing this skill.
Yes, yeah. I mean, everything when the whole body slows down, then naturally electrical impulses through the body, the central nervous, the outlying parts of the body where all the nerves go to. Everything can be really slowed down. The blood pressure certainly can benefit, and that has a lot of things, on the medical side. We can take blood pressure, relieve stress, release that type of thing. Certainly from a point of view of just being in a chill state. So straight away, if we're feeling better, and we're less down, we're less moody, our blood pressure comes down, we do feel better, so it does have those clinical benefits as well as having the more obvious spiritual side effects.
Well, I tell you, earlier we talked about polarizing the emotions. When I say polarize, taking it from one pole, which is bad, and going from the other pole, which is good. And I'm thinking about how cult leaders and how they use altered states to do it precisely that, to polarize the victim's emotions in order to sort of preempt that victim's willpower, you see. And so when you remarked about using the buddy system or getting involved in a group, I really think that's probably a really wise thing to do, to find a teacher that you can trust.
Yes, definitely.
How hard is that, to find a teacher that you can trust?
Now, if you want to develop trance, then it can be quite hard because there are people who have trance groups or trance circles, and it can be clicky, or you might have to wait until there's a space there. You might have to wait, 7 or 8 months, or even a couple of years before somebody decides I've had enough, and somebody else can come back on board. So another way would be to go to, if there's anywhere where they do actual workshops, a weekend workshop where you can understand more, you can practice, and you get you get more knowledge that way. But it does seem very, very logical thing to do, and wise, to be honest.
Well, let's do a little hypothetical here, an experiment. Let's just say that I'm jobless. I just got laid off from my job. Maybe my company went under, just disappeared, poof.
Yes.
And I listened to this show tonight, and I'm determined. I'm going to I got nothing to lose. I'm going to try to use trance as a way to visualize myself into a job. What would be a good way of going about that in order to make that job happen, in order to attract that job? Should I just meditate and envision myself in the perfect job, and actually construct? Should I fantasize about it? That sort of thing?
Well, firstly, I do feel, Stephen, and it's a very good question that you posed there, Stephen. I personally feel, first of all, you have to remove the negativity, that really bad feelings that things are going to get worse and worse and worse. So straight away, focus on yourself. You know what I mean? Get yourself calmed down. Go into a light to into a light to an overshadowing type trance state, and just try to feel yourself, feeling well, feeling nice, feeling loved. All right. And to take away crisis, take away that panic, from that conscious self, because it will always raise doubt, and we're back to square one. So start telling yourself it's going to be fine, it's going to be fine, it's going to be fine. And then once you get there, then you can think, you know what, I would like to know what is happening. I want to know what is going on. There is a job coming. Not is there, when is it? It's here. And start asking questions like that. And when you're not in too deep a state, then you can either take a little dictaphone, you can turn it on and you can speak, or you can have a pen, a pen and paper, and okay, when is this job coming? And you might find yourself writing 12th of August, and you're thinking, oh, so I know straight away 12th of August is going to be something there. Yeah, so then you can start looking forward to that time. You think, right, there is something there. Then you can say, right, I've got something. So it takes the pressure off. Yeah, and we can keep on doing it. And then we can, once we think, yes, it is definitely here. We get the sense of more information coming through, and then we can think, right, okay, then I can see myself into it. Yeah, rather than sort of think, okay, I'm going to see myself suddenly as a chairman of the board. I'm going to be a pilot. It's got to be feasible, you know. So you're thinking, right, okay, there is something coming. It may be 2 months or 6 weeks away, but it's coming. Yeah, so I can still feel better about myself. I can get myself in order. I know I don't have to panic. I'm not going to have to lose anything. Yeah, and then it takes the pressure off. And then once we're into that more relaxed state where we can more easily get past the conscious mind, that's when the more info is given to us. There is also one of the benefits also, please, and another reason why, you know, trance there, when we're fast asleep, we can reach down into the delta wave. We can reach down into the theta wave, and again we get given info based on the fact that the conscious mind is further and further asleep. Yeah, right. So it does have an impact of being external into the internal within dreams, and then it comes out of the dreams and we make it realistic. We actually get it to happen. So it's all intertwined in that way.
So there we go. We confront the concept again of sidestepping the conscious mind,
Yes.
that part of the mind that says, no, you're too stupid, you're too dumb, you're too ugly,
Yes.
you're too this,
Yeah.
you're too that, not enough. Sidestepping that critical part of ourselves. And you know what? Hearing you describe that, it really sounds as if what I'm doing, the trance is empowering me to borrow from my future self-confidence when I have that job, borrowing it today. You know,
Yes,
to benefit from it today.
Yes, Stephen, that's a really lovely way that you put that over there. You know, it is very, very nice. It might seem a very simplistic way, but it's not complicated. So therefore, it must naturally be simple. Yeah. Okay. Right. And it is keep it simple, stupid. Yeah. So,
absolutely.
Yeah, so therefore, again, what complicates matters is the way that we've been brought up as children, our schooling, religious background, you know, the way that we do what work that we've been doing, all forms the mind to have that rigid thinking. So therefore, taking it off and going underneath it, yeah, then we get to our real self, all right? But the thing is, we are then, if you wish, in tune to that sort of universal energy where psychics are, you know. It's almost being able to say to a person, okay, what have I got for you future-wise? I subconsciously ask the universe, I get your phone number and I ring your phone number and I get told about you. So I can give that info there without my mind going anywhere, because the concept again of time is that we see it going forwards and backwards when it's everywhere. Every possible future is here and now, same as every past and everything, you know. And being in the trance states really does give you that easiness to tap in to that energy that a psychic, a medium does naturally. Yeah, so right. That gives you an inkling about good things coming up. Yes, I've got this, I've got that. And of course, if some information comes up to say, well, you know, if you carry on your course you're going to, you're going to fall foul, then you've got the chance to change your ways. You know what I mean? So it does work on every avenue there.
Oh, wow. That is really, really encouraging. The important point to take away is that there's a tangible benefit that the trance gives you, that you carry away from the trance session, that actually helps you to be more effective in getting what you want.
Well, yes. I mean, and getting what you want. You know, it's. people, certainly mediums and psychics, we tend not to ask for ourselves, because we're supposed to be trying to be spiritual, but again, within a physical world, so we do need physical things to better help us and better help, therefore we can help others, isn't it? So but when you're looking at all the things, it's what we really want, suddenly sort of going into a meditation thinking, right, I would like to win $500 million so I can just go and buy an island and just live, whatever I want to do. We have to be feasible, and it's not about thinking small, it's about thinking big, but things that are practical, that can be of benefit to us, then that's the things that do happen, things that are benefit for us and beneficial to others around us, and that's the key. It's both the actual intent, but the benefit it will bring to yourself and more people around you, then that's when things happen.
Very good point there. Not to expect nonsense from this practice just because it's metaphysical. One should not expect nonsense, because that's disrespecting the process, and in fact, that's exactly what you'll get from it is nonsense. No?
Yes. Well, it is. If you suddenly want to win millions and millions and millions, and you don't care about the common person because I'm fine, then the chances are it'll be no, Whereas if you're saying, oh, do you know what, it would nice to win such and such, then I can help people, I can give people a bit of this, a bit of people that, or I can give to animal charities, or I can set up something that will be beneficial for a lot of people, then the chances are that is more likely to actually happen.
Ah, yes. So you increase your chances the more you can conform your goal to the larger social good.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, if you're looking at working with a universal energy, we're all interconnected, one with the other. We're all linked into that one big universal brain. It's how psychics are able to tune in and tell you about you and tell you a little bit about what is probably going to happen future wise, and it comes to pass in that way. So therefore, if it's of benefit for more people, then the chances are that is in the natural spiritual laws, so the chances are that will work of more benefit, certainly.
Oh wow, this is we've really gone over a lot of information to digest here. Do you have any parting thoughts or any tips as we move into the end of the show?
No, really is don't be hard on yourself. The hardest lesson to learn is patience. It is all in good time. And the main thing is do it properly, please. Try and find a group, or even what you call it, society that does this type of thing. Do it with like-minded people for the right intent. And enjoy the journey of self discovery, because I think it is beautiful. The more we can enhance ourselves and our own being in largely a spiritual way, then we're helping our fellow man, so to speak, Stephen, because we're helping ourselves to be better in order to be of service or help others. So therefore, it just makes it's just lovely. It's a lovely feeling, all nice and warm inside.
Approaching the trance to get what we want out of it forces us to ponder ourselves and think about ourselves and what we really want out of life, no?
Yes, it does, because it brings that sort of closer to, if you wish, closer to God, closer to what is really is of import, and doing a trance can enhance our own sensitivity. So at one time where we perhaps wouldn't cry at watching a film, suddenly we find ourselves in floods of tears because we're allowing ourselves to feel. So it does have those benefits too. And that really just increases the want to help, or the desire to be of help, you know. So then it has loads and loads of benefits, as well as practical issues, you know, such as you know, lowering the blood pressure, the stress levels. So it is beneficial all the way round, but it's the right intent.
Absolutely. Well, Ian, I really appreciate you joining us tonight. Unfortunately, we've come to the end of our show here, but I really am glad that you came out here tonight to share your wisdom and experience with us. Thank you.
You're welcome, Stephen, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak to that lovely audience, and to your fair self as well. So thank you, Stephen.
All right. Well, we really appreciate it. You have a great one, Ian, okay?
Okay, mate. Thank you, Stephen. Night-night, mate.
Night-night, mate.
Hello, my name is Res Miranda. If you're having relationship, career, or life issues, I'm inviting you to experience what it's like to have access to professional, highly accurate psychics and spiritual advisors you can trust to care and help you. Register now to get your free 6-minute reading by telephone or chat. Get answers, get access, psychic access, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. PsychicAccess.com.
You know, your mind just becomes so much quieter, and you become more aware of what is around you due to that sort of stillness. You know what I mean? It is an absolute beautiful state to be in, you know. But when you're looking at doing a meditation, Stephen, the conscious mind's there, because you're listening to a voice telling you that you're walking down a road, you come into a copse of trees, you're by a stream. So the conscious mind is still there because you're listening. Or if there's a person there, or even if you're listening to music, the fact is your ears are still straining to hear that sound, so that brainwave is still kept within the very the mid to low alpha at the deepest, you know what I mean? So the conscious mind's still there.
Very interesting. One thing you impressed me with was when you said that entering into the trance state, changing your consciousness or adapting it to be able to do the higher spiritual type of work. You refer to this as an active process and not a passive thing at all. And I think a lot of people think of the trance as falling asleep, perhaps, or getting relaxed. But you're saying it's very active.
It is. I mean, the thing is, being in a very relaxed state is meditative. You know what I mean? Because that is what you're doing. You're trying to relax the body, you know, as well.
I'm excited about tonight's guest. His name is Ian Doherty from the UK. He's a medium. He's an artist, which is one of the facets of his personality, which interests me as well. He uses his psychic ability, his mediumship, to create art. And another, as if that weren't enough, Mr. Doherty also is a paranormal investigator, having archived thousands of investigations and hauntings, and he's highly regarded for his careful probings of these hauntings and other supernatural phenomena. I encourage you to visit Ian Doherty at www.ian-doherty.co.uk. And without further ado, hello, Ian. A warm welcome. How are you?
Hey, fine, thank you, Stephen, and thank you for your very, very warm welcome there too. And it's lovely to be having this opportunity to chat to your fair self and your listeners out there. So thank you very much for that very, very warm welcome there, Stephen.
Well, it's certainly my pleasure. We're excited to have you here tonight, especially given the subject, which is sort of changing your consciousness or entering into a trance so as to, perhaps connect in spirit with someone, or perhaps to enhance your creativity. And what I'd like to do to begin is maybe talk about the physical basis of this. What can I do physically to trance? You know, the communication with God. You know, so that's yes, definitely. And so it raises, you hear a lot of talk about how, raising the vibratory rate, lowering the vibratory rate. Would you say trance is, meditating or allowing yourself to fall into a trance, would you say that's involved in lowering or raising the vibratory rate?
Yeah, well, really, it isn't in my point anyway. It's not about raising your vibe. It's about slowing the mind down. Yeah, there is a difference there. Anything that is of a repetitive nature, going round in circles. When you were sort of driving the road at night time, and you see that white line in the middle of the road. If you stare at that, then you'll just go. You know what I mean? Because it's very much repetitive, and that's what the conscious mind fixes onto. Yeah, and therefore it seems to just be going off on its own, and we're more aware subconscious wise. Yeah, so really from that point of view, it's getting to slow the mind down. That is the important thing, you know, where we're looking at the alpha wave, which is around 8 to 15 cycles a second, and then into the theta, which again goes around 5 to 8. You know, from each brain wave that we drop down is almost halved in actual, to call it, electrical impulses. So
maybe enter into the trance state.
Well, it really sort of depends, Stephen, what the person is wanting to do with it. You know, certainly from my point of view, with being a medium, I want to investigate trance to have a closer connection, spirit-wise. You know, I'm a published author through trance. You know, where my guide who talks to me is a gentleman called William, and he gave me a lot of information over several months, which was put into a book called Teachings from William. So that was what I wanted to do, you know. And when you look at wanting to enhance, really it's not a meditative state. You know, it's certainly not anything to do with sort of possession, you know, where people can get the wrong end of the stick, which is why I really do enjoy in talking about trance, to dispel some of the myths and to put people's mind at rest. The best thing for wanting to do trance is to enhance that psychic ability and that mediumistic ability that you have, because the mind naturally goes quieter. So when you're in a waking state, a cognitive state, you can easily lower that brainwave from the beta wave into the alpha wave, and therefore I can talk to you. I can be aware of who is talking to me, spirit side. I can be more aware of what energies are there, whether they're ghost, oblique, residual energies, or whether they're actual spirit energies, and still maintain a conversation with a real physical person. So it does enhance a lot of things, but I feel trance mainly is really inherent with psychic or mediumistic type of things. You know, Sitting Bull and people like so used to do the drumming, the trance dance, anything that puts the mind or puts images or sound into the mind, which with every person will be slightly different, but it matches their brainwave, and therefore the conscious mind seems to be not there. So the subconscious comes to the fore, and it can be very much open to perceiving images, sounds, visions, you know, that are very, very accurate.
Very interesting. I'm reminded at once of the Sufis.
Yes.
You know, the whirling dervishes, and I had the pleasure of talking with a Sufi once, and he emphasized to me very strongly that this was not a dance, that he was not dancing, that the whirling itself facilitated the